Hi, everybody. It's Randy Hilarski here. Today, I have a special guest. I have the founder of Epic Cash. We've got some great news for the community. And for those of you who have been looking at Epic Cash and other MimbleWimble projects, we've got some cool stuff happening. So go ahead. Let us know what's happening, Max.
All right, thanks, Randy. Great to be back. So the one of our major things that we're focused on is ease of use and accessibility. Use cases like point of sale, um, online and offline. Some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about with Android on smartwatches and similar platforms is coming soon. But what we're going to talk about today is the next iteration of the graphical wallet built by community members on the Fast Epic team. Now, what's interesting about this wallet, aside from being easier to use and looking better than the current one, is that it features an anonymous chat function. So that's going to be really useful. Let's just take people through the screenshots so they can see what it will look like. We've integrated a bunch of feedback from the current version into this one. So
yeah, right here is the looks like the chat.
Yeah, no, that doesn't compromise your privacy the way that it's set up. So it's truly anonymous, and you can send Epic directly through that messenger to anyone you want that's on your contact list.
That's great. Over the years, I've seen a couple of projects that talked about doing such a thing, but they never delivered it. And it looks like we're going to have it. And I think that's pretty darn cool for Epic Cash to be one of the leaders in the privacy, not just for the money side, but for also messaging.
Yeah, it's certainly a useful feature.
Okay.
Now, another thing that's not well understood about the way MimbleWimble works and the way we work is that you can also send over SMS or email or Telegram. Currently, you just send the file transactions. A lot of people are doing that, but if you don't know, then it's easy to miss that. So there are other message-based sending options that people are currently using as well.
Yeah, I'll admit I'm one of those people that I've always used the HTTP listener and just send transactions through the IP address. But if people really want to be private and they want to make sure that their transaction is obscured in some way, then yeah, using the transaction file is probably a better option, correct?
I'm not sure if I'd say that, but in certain countries like China, for example, I've heard that they're not able to open the ports quite as easily. So that's a barrier. And also, not everybody knows how to open the ports. So making it easier to send and receive is a big thing that we need to work on, that will be improved here in the future as we develop. So one other thing that's coming on this is the ability to send to a normal address, we have the ability to add addresses onto our platform. And so from the user perspective, you'll be able to send to an address just like any other crypto.
Yeah, and I remember that Todd, our lead dev, was saying something about that, especially on the Android version with someone's account name, and you just say, "Hey, Tommy over there, I'm going to send Tommy a certain amount of Epic," and it's just a click on the phone or something similar. So it's just you have it. What's it called? Like a name there. We just send the person the Epic.
Yeah. With the core functionality built and the blockchain working and the mining going and the basics all established, now it's really time to deliver usable features that people can use Epic as actual money. It's really useful for sending value around the globe because it's not only fast, but it's also close to free. With full confirmation in 1 minute, you can really send microtransactions efficiently and privately. So
and I've done
making
it.
that easier is going to be a focus.
I've been doing it since mainnet launch in September 2nd, and we just passed the 3-month mark. And I've been doing it using the HTTP. It's been working fine. It was a learning experience to open up the port, but now that I know how to do it, when my port does close, I know how to go back in and open it up again. but it's pretty simple once you learn how to do it.
Yeah, and actually, I've been surprised at the level of activity the blockchain is seeing. Every time I go into the Explorer, there's somewhere on the order of 3,000 to 6,000 transactions a day going through. So even though we're just starting, there is quite a bit of activity on the network already.
Well, that's a great sign. It's just going to increase. So that's the main login page. The main login for the GUI. We already have a GUI wallet that was made by community member SimpleDuck. But this one is another community member decided to make one their own, and that's what's great about a community project. Everyone's pitching in and building some tech for the project on their own. I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and to add to that point, we do need all the help we can get, especially with development. So if you are able to help with anything, drop me a line on Telegram, and I'll connect you with whoever you need to talk to. We have made a lot of progress in porting Epic to Android, and it's basically working, but in a text mode, and it needs a pretty front end and client put on it, and that's pretty much the only thing standing in the way for having a mobile app. So I would like to put out a call for community help. We're not structured like an ICO project where there's a handful of guys in some company somewhere that are paid to do the work, and that's how it happens. We're more like Monero or a project like that where anybody can contribute, and they do. We've really seen a blossoming over the past 2 months in particular of independent new faces coming and contributing to the code base or the ecosystem in some way.
Well, what's the old saying? People who have skin in the game tend to get things done. That's one thing I love about this project. It's not just hired mercenaries. It's people that all own Epic, and we want to see this project flourish. So I think that's a pretty powerful thing for us to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a neat segue into the next topic, which is exchanges. So essentially what we need to do is set our sights on getting on CoinMarketCap, and the requirements for getting on CoinMarketCap are pretty straightforward. You have to be on 3 exchanges that they have in their database or in their system. So you can get on these exchanges essentially 2 ways. You can pay, or you can win some kind of a community voting process. So another thing we could use somebody in the community's help for is organizing some leadership around targeting which of these exchanges would make sense to try and win the community votes on. We don't necessarily need them to be the best exchanges in the world. The point is to get the additional exposure through having our data report on CoinMarketCap. So there's maybe you can post in the what's it called in the links when you post this, but there's a spreadsheet of the top 100 CoinMarketCap exchanges that might be a fit for us based on the parameters of them being accessible and having a lot of trading pairs, which means they might be open to adding us. A lot of exchanges only have a couple of pairs that they focus on. And so a lot of the preparatory work has already been done. We just need people from the community to go out there and essentially either ask as a customer, hey, can you add Epic so that I can trade here? Or to try to organize to win these community vote processes. Because at 2 cents, it does not make sense for the foundation to be dumping coins to try and pay inflated listing fees, like some of the other projects that raise money. It makes sense to do that. I don't think anybody would want additional supply coming at these low levels.
For sure, and there's another thing too that the community has expressed interest in. They would like a non-KYC exchange. This is a privacy coin, and a lot of our people are privacy advocates. And even though KYC is growing rapidly and a lot of exchanges are using it, I still think that I'm a big privacy guy, and I'm not a fan of KYC. And I know many of our community are not as well. And that's one of the reasons why they're not opening up accounts on BuyHodl or Cytex, because both those exchanges. Well, I don't think Cytex requires for a minimum amount, a small amount of transactions. You might correct me if I'm wrong, but I know BuyHodl does require, and BuyHodl has most of our volume at the current time.
Right. Yeah. So the easy answer on that is, and I posted something in the mining community about this a few weeks ago, and there was a lukewarm response. But if we can raise 0.6 BTC to pay the listing fee, we can get onto Trade Ogre. So if that makes sense, and people want to contribute, we can complete that relatively quickly. And they do report to CoinMarketCap, so that would be nice. Two other options that that could make sense are BISC. There was a bug in Grin that prevented them from keeping Grin on there regarding proof of payments that we address, or will have addressed here pretty shortly. That should enable us to build the integration so that we get featured on BISC, which is no KYC, a little bit of a clunky exchange, but it does work. And then the other option is to build atomic swaps directly within the wallet. That's a little bit more of an involved technical project that we definitely would need some help with. So if anybody would like to work on that, definitely let me know. Beam just released atomic swaps within their wallet, which they don't really need as much because they have the exchange coverage that we don't yet. So the relative importance of us having it would be greater. I've had some discussions with some of our technical folks about what would be involved in doing that, and it's doable based on how we're architected. It just requires manpower and organization. So that's the picture on exchanges. We can pay or put in effort to get listed.
Yeah, understandable. And now I want to also bring up the point of the community helping us out online as far as spreading the word. Like you said, going out to the exchanges and talking to them and expressing interest in being listed, those kind of things. The other thing is, on social, come by and stop by our accounts and help us share some of the content out, or tag us in some content that you're sharing on social media. And that helps me out a great deal because I am managing the social and Anna's managing the social and the Spanish community. So those kind of things are really important. This is the whole skin in the game concept. This is why I think Monero has done so well over the years, is because they do have a great community, and we would like to replicate that with EpicCash.
Yeah, Monero is an excellent project, and I think that anybody who is into Monero would probably find a lot to like about us, and vice versa. And indeed, a lot of our community has come from Monero forums and places where Monero people hang out. Even though people tend to have their one favorite coin, there's of course nothing preventing people from holding multiple coins. And I found that people who are into privacy are a unique breed. And so when I went to the MoneroCon conference in Denver to meet with the Monero people earlier this year, and to DEF CON, Monero Village, I got to meet a lot of the Monero community, and there's a lot of great guys in there. And they definitely share similar values about what we need in a new form of money. You can't have freedom without privacy. And I believe privacy is a fundamental human right. And that's a view that the Monero community, by and large, would agree with.
Absolutely. All right, so I got our little EpicCash, or Santa's the wish list here. Everyone's it looks like EpicCash is in the top of the list. I'm just going through our Twitter really quick and showing people some of the stuff that we have on Twitter while we're talking. But is there anything else you would like to discuss, or is this good enough for this week's update? And we got some good news coming in the next couple of weeks as well. We're going to be talking to Todd.
Yeah, let's wrap it up here, and then we'll save some more good stuff for the weeks to come.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening to this week's updates for EpicCash, and thanks, Max, for taking the time and letting everyone know what's going on with the community.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Randy.
Cheers.